Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the session today. We have Josefa, our pre-sales consultant from Redington Value, who will be running you through the session. We hope we will provide you all the information required, and we have a Q&A at the end of the session to answer all your queries. Josefa, you can start the session.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being present. So in today's session, we'll have a live demo of the IPsec VPN. So IPsec VPN is used in FortiGate for site-to-site and client-to-site both. So we'll be having a look at both site-to-site and client-to-site IPsec VPN. We'll go through the configuration, okay, step by step, how it can be configured, and we'll see a live demo. So first we'll go through site-to-site VPN, then we'll also have a look at uh, client-to-site VPN with two-factor authentication enabled. So we will enable two-factor authentication. We'll use FortiToken. We'll see how it is used and how it is integrated or how it can be rolled out to mobile devices. So we will have a complete look and feel of the IPsec VPN client, and in the current situation, VPN is a very highly required feature because of the work from home situation. And on top of that, to make work from home more secure, we have two-factor authentication. So we'll have a look at site-to-site and client-to-site both. Now, site-to-site VPN, I'll just give you a brief about my setup first. Okay, so site-to-site VPN is used to connect two offices, for example, a head office and a branch office, or two branch offices, or basically any two sites. So a site-to-site IPsec VPN can be established between any device. It can be FortiGate to FortiGate. It can be FortiGate to any third-party firewall or router. Okay. So IPsec is a standard protocol and it can be established with any third-party vendor. So I'll just give you a brief about my setup. So there are two FortiGates to which will be connecting the site-to-site VPN. There is one local FortiGate and there is one remote FortiGate. So local FortiGate's WAN IP address is okay, and remote FortiGate's WAN IP is 10.200.3.1. They are in separate networks. I also have a Windows machine through which we'll be connecting the devices. So IP address of local Windows is 10.0.1.10 and remote Windows is 10.0.2.10. Okay, so our aim is to connect remote Windows to local Windows system via IPsec VPN site-to-site and client-to-site. Okay, so first we'll see the site-to-site VPN. So I will keep this information open for reference. Okay, so now in FortiGate 6.2, so here you can see the FortiGate is running on firmware 6.2. Okay, and the IPsec VPN or SSL VPN or in general the whole VPN module is free of cost. Okay, so if anyone says that I want to purchase the VPN client licenses, no, we don't have. Okay, so it is available out of the box. So there is no additional cost for VPN. If you want two-factor authentication, only thing you have to purchase is 40 tokens. So if there are 50 users going to connect via the VPN, so you will need 50 40 tokens. Apart from that, the client-to-site VPN or the Forticlient is completely free of cost to use. So there is no additional cost to it. So now we'll go to IPsec VPN. So we'll go to VPN Ipsec Tunnels. Then we'll say create a new tunnel. So as soon as we say create a new tunnel, it will open the IPsec VPN wizard. So through a wizard, if you are accustomed to the settings, if you have all the information readily available, what is the local subnet, what is the remote subnet, what is the pre-shared key, if you have all the details available, trust me, you can bring the VPN up in less than 5 minutes. Okay, so I'm not going to rush through through the VPN settings. I will explain you each and everything, what it means, what should you enter in that particular field. But once you have done it a couple of times and you already have all the information available to create the IPsec VPN tunnel on FortiGate, it will take, if it is FortiGate to FortiGate, it will take less than 5 minutes on both the sides. Okay, so within 5 minutes, the VPN can be up. So we'll just give a name. We'll say VPN to a remote site. Okay, and it's a site-to-site VPN. So we'll say whether are there any NAT devices in between, or are there any NAT devices in front of the FortiGate. We can say this site is behind NAT or there is no NAT behind devices. Okay, so what this option does is basically it encapsulates the IPsec protocol or ESP protocol that is used in IPsec with UDP. So to go in more details, IPsec is a bundle of protocols. Okay, it works on various protocols. One of the protocols is ESP, Encapsulation Security Payload. Okay, so ESP works on IP protocol 50. So if you know that TCP works on IP protocol 6, UDP works on IP protocol 17, then you have port numbers, right? HTTP is 80, HTTPS is 443. So for each service, there is a protocol number, either TCP or UDP, and a port number, right? But ESP, which is used in IPsec, is just a protocol number. It does not have any port. So it is simply IP protocol 50. It does not have any port. So if there are any NAT devices in front, they don't understand this particular traffic. They will be expecting a port number for it to be translated and it to be sent ahead. So if your firewall devices are behind a device that is doing NAT, okay, network address translation, who is translating the IP addresses, then you enable this option that this site is behind NAT. Okay, if you give this option, for FortiGate basically encapsulates the ESP packet, that is IP protocol 50, with UDP 4500 port, so that it can be understood by the NAT devices. So basically, if you just keep this enabled as as a security thing, also it is fine. Okay, because it will just encapsulate the ESP packet. So even if you do it as a precautionary setting, it is fine. Then you select the remote device type, that is FortiGate and Cisco. Now many partners come back to us that does this VPN only support FortiGate and Cisco? No, it's not, it's incorrect. So FortiGate and Cisco, we have ready templates. We have ready templates available for both this device. So it does not mean that You cannot establish the VPN with any other firewall apart from FortiGate and Cisco. You can simply, instead of using the template type, you can simply go custom. Okay, but what I suggest to partners is that even if the firewall is, even if the remote side has another firewall, for example, a sonic wall or a checkpoint, okay, still use the template. I will tell you why. So the template or the wizard, okay, creates not just the VPN settings, it also creates the policies and the routes. Okay, now whether you are establishing the VPN with Sonic Wall or Checkpoint or any other firewall, you will need policies, you will need routes, correct? Okay, so the wizard automatically configures all those settings. So what I suggest is you use the template, you use the wizard. Okay, once the VPN is created, you can just tweak the settings as per Sonic Wall or as per Checkpoint. No need to then go fully manual, creating fully manual VPN settings, manual policies and routes. Okay, so in this case, we'll say the remote device type FortiGate will give the IP address of the remote FortiGate. So we'll say to connect to the remote FortiGate. So the WAN IP of this is 10.203.1. It automatically detected that 10.203.1 is reachable via port 1, which is my WAN interface. Okay, so port 1 is my WAN interface. So I will just give a random preset key. I'll give it as Fortinet. Okay, Fortinet 123. My local interface. So what after creating the VPN, what is the remote site going to access? So it is going to access my local subnet or my server subnet. So whichever interface is connected to that, you select that. It automatically detected that the local subnet is 10.0.1.0, which is my local Windows. Okay, so this is what we are trying to be accessible via both the sites. And the remote subnet. So remote subnet, we have to mention 10.0.2.0. So the remote office or the branch office is subnet. Okay, so you have to mention what is my subnet, which is going to be accessible over the VPN, and what is the remote subnet, which is going to be accessible over the VPN. Do you want also internet access over the VPN? I said no, we'll use our local WAN. I don't want the internet traffic to go over the VPN. So we'll just say create. Now, when you say create, see the objects that it has created. It has created. We'll just go through all of them. Okay. See here. It has created an object VPN to remote local subnet. It has created an object VPN to remote subnet. The wizard has also added these particular addresses in the groups. Okay, so if you have multiple subnets, you can also use it as groups. Then it has created a policy. It has created two policies for two-way traffic or traffic initiating from both the ends, from my subnet and from remote subnet if there is any traffic initiated. So a two-way policy. So you can see a policy has been created from port 3 to VPN, or you can say local LAN to VPN and VPN to local LAN. So you can see it's a two-way policy with all the settings enabled. Plus, it has also created static route. Okay, so it has created a static route and a black hole route. Black hole route means apart from the mentioned subnet, nothing else should be passing through this VPN. So we have mentioned that apart from this particular subnet, which is 10.0.2.0, nothing else should go via the VPN. Okay, so everything is created automatically. So here you don't have to do anything. So only thing, just use the wizard. Apart from that, all settings are configured by the wizard. So if you see just 3 screens, just a couple of information, and you are done on your end. Now we'll move on to the second side. So before that, I just want to show you. We'll just from our local windows, we are just going to ping the remote Windows machine. So we can see that the local Windows, the remote Windows system is not yet reachable. So now we'll go to the remote FortiGate. We'll configure the VPN on the other side. So again, we'll go to IPsec tunnels, say create new. It goes to the IPsec wizard. We'll say VPN to local, site to site. We'll just say the site is behind NAT. It will not make much of a difference. And then we'll say FortiGate. Here, remote IP address. So here we are asked the IP address of the remote site, the WAN IP address. So here we'll give the WAN IP address of the local FortiGate, which is the remote FortiGate for this particular firewall. And it automatically detected the WAN interface through which it is connected. Pre-shared key will give the same pre-shared key. Okay. Then our local subnet. So on the remote side, the LAN interface is on port 6. You can see the port 6 IP address 10.0.2.254, which is the gateway for the remote Windows 10.0.2.10. So we'll say the local interface and what should be accessible by the remote side and the remote subnet. What this FortiGate or the users on this side, what subnet they want to access. So it will be 10.0.1.10, 1.0/24. And same, we'll just say create. Okay. Now the VPN is created on both the sides. So we have a VPN monitor. So here, if you can see, we have a IPsec VPN monitor. So you can go here, you can bring the tunnel up. So if there is any traffic, it should automatically come up in a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds. But if you want to bring the VPN manually up, you can do the same thing. You can do it manually also. Okay. I'll just verify the settings again. And see, we'll go to the remote FortiGate. We'll go to the remote Windows. Okay, so we are able to ping from the remote Windows. We'll just see. Okay, 2.10 is correct. We'll try to. So you can see that the traffic is coming up from here, and from the IPsec monitor, we can see the data is being transferred. Okay. So we'll just try MSTSC. Just try MSTSC. Okay, so you can see that I'm able to communicate through the VPN to the other side. We'll just check the settings. Just a minute. Okay, we'll allow remote desktop. So here we'll try again. The remote Windows had its firewall up, so we'll just confirm once again. Okay, so the VPN is up and working fine. We'll also try MSTSC again. So it's working. So the only thing was the firewall was up and the VPN and the remote desktop was not on the remote side. So once it's done, it is it is fine and working fine. You can, as I mentioned, you can monitor the VPN. You can bring it up and down. Okay, you can bring down the VPN from here, but IPsec VPN usually keeps auto alive on. So after a certain time, it will be up again. So here we can see now, as soon as the VPN was down, we are no longer getting we get a request timeout, and as I mentioned, IPsec VPN uses keep alive. So after a certain time, it automatically brings up the VPN. You can see it here. Okay, so if the VPN is down, the connection will break. So now we will test two-factor authentication and client-to-site VPN. So if you have any queries regarding site-to-site VPN, just we will take it up in the Q&A session. So just let us know if you have any queries. Now the next part when we move on to is client to site VPN. But before that, I will just remove the settings so that it does not interfere with our configuration of client to site, because both VPNs will be connecting the remote windows to local windows. So we'll just to make sure we are removing the configuration so that the VPN goes down. So we are just removing the configuration from both sides. So what we need to do is to remove the configuration. We need to delete the VPN policies. We need to delete the routes. Okay. Then we can delete the VPN tunnel. Okay, so we'll do the same thing on the remote side also, on the local FortiGate also. So we'll delete the policies. We'll delete the routes. Okay, and then we'll delete the VPN. Okay, so now we'll try this once again. So we'll try it from the remote windows. We'll go to the remote Windows system. From here, now we'll try whether we are able to connect after the VPN is deleted. Can we connect or can we reach the local windows? No, right? So our VPN is deleted completely. Now there is no reachability between the remote FortiGate or the remote windows and the local windows. So now we'll try to establish the connectivity using client to site VPN. So again, now if we want to create client to site VPN, we just have to create it on the local FortiGate. Okay. So again, we'll just go back to local FortiGate. We'll say create a new IPsec tunnel, and then we'll say create new IPsec tunnel, and then here we say remote access. Instead of saying site to site, we are saying remote access, and we are saying remote VPN. Okay, it is client based, and whether you are using a native client for iOS, Android, Windows, or you are using a Forticlient or the Cisco client. So here I will say client based Forticlient. Again, IPsec is a industry standard, so it can work with any VPN client. Okay, whereas SSL VPN is vendor specific. So it might happen that SSL VPN client cannot connect to other vendor firewall. Okay, so in that case, it has to be compatible. But IPsec, you can use the Cisco client to connect to FortiGate IPsec VPN. It shouldn't be an issue. Next, we'll select incoming interface. Incoming interface. So VPN policies are incoming policies, right, from WAN to LAN. So we will select our incoming interface as our WAN interface, which is port 1. Again, pre-shared key will mention the same pre-shared key, Fortinet 123, and we'll select user group. Okay, we'll say create new user group, VPN users. Okay, we'll add a member. I have already created a user1. Okay, so we'll say add. So this is created. We'll just select VPN users here. So in the first settings, if you see in the first initial settings, you just have to type a name. select the template type, whether site to site or client to site or remote access. So it has multiple name. It can be called as remote access VPN. It can be called as dial-up VPN. It can also be called as client to site VPN. So all are basically the same. Then here you select your WAN interface. You mention a pre-shared key and you mention the VPN users. Okay, which user group is allowed to access this particular VPN. We say next. Then once the VPN is connected, what should the remote user access? We will say he will access our LAN interface and our LAN subnet, which is, let's say, yeah, local subnet 1, which is 10.0.1.0. So we'll say the remote client, when he connects, he will access our local subnet, that is 10.0.1.10. Okay. Client IP address range. So this is very important. So client IP range is the range or is the IP address that the client will get. So in a typical scenario, client to site VPN will work for users who are working from home or who are traveling, right? So they will be connecting using their own WAN. So what FortiGate will be seeing is WAN IP address. Okay. And the client IP address keeps on changing, right? Every time you connect, you might have a new public IP. So it keeps on changing. So the client can reach the server, but the server cannot reach the client. Okay. If the server initiates a communication to the client, he will not be reachable because the IPs change, again and again. So what we are doing is when the VPN is connected, we are saying, please assign this particular IP address to the client. So we just have to give a range. So this range I can give is 10.0.10.10 to 10.0.10.20. Okay, so this is my client range, or better, I can go to a totally different subnet, 1.10 to 192.168. 1.50. So this will give me a total range of approximately 40 clients. Okay, so 40 users can connect. So if there are more users connecting, you can increase the range. So 190 users can connect and so on. So whether you, and when the system connects, what DNS settings should it get? Whether it should use its own system DNS, or whether you want to specify, I say, please assign him this particular DNS. Okay. Enable split tunneling, and I'll say allow endpoint registration disable. So we don't need the FortiClient to register with FortiGate. Okay. So it is for a different purpose, compliance sharing and telemetry. So people enable this and the FortiClient gets registered. So in older firmware 6.0 and before, FortiGate and FortiClient used to integrate together and for compliance and telemetry sharing. So by default, FortiGate had 10 licenses for it. Now in 6.2, it is completely removed. Okay, it usually integrates with the EMS. So now when endpoint registration was enabled, the FortiClients used to get registered with the FortiGate, which and the licenses, the compliance and telemetry licenses used to get full. The free licenses which we get is 10. So partners and customers used to think that for VPN they have only 10 licenses, which is not the case. This is for a totally different purpose. So if you're just using the client, the FortiClient just for VPN, you are not enabling endpoint registration. You can use it, till the box reaches its capacity, or till the FortiGate reaches its capacity. Okay. Now split tunneling is a very, very useful feature. So if the client, or if you don't want the client to even send his internet traffic over the tunnel. So whatever he is doing, like Facebook or YouTube, he will have his own internet connection. He will connect the client, and that tunnel or the IPsec tunnel which is established will only be used for corporate traffic or for private traffic. Public traffic, whatever he is doing, Facebook, YouTube, will not go inside the IPsec tunnel. Only the corporate traffic which is destined to your address, which is mentioned here, will only will be sent to the tunnel. Otherwise, it will be not. Okay. So if you disable the split tunneling, means as the name suggests, the tunnel will not be splitted. That means all traffic, whatever traffic is being generated from your laptop or from your client, everything will be sent over the tunnel, even internet traffic. So if you disable split tunneling on your FortiGate, you will have to create a policy from VPN to WAN, because now the WAN traffic or the internet traffic will also come to you. So you need a particular policy to allow that particular traffic. So there should be a policy not from just VPN to local network. There should also be a policy from VPN to WAN to allow the traffic. But this particular setting is usually kept enabled. So your IPsec tunnel is a secured channel. So only send the corporate traffic or private traffic over the tunnel. We'll say next. What options do you want the client to have? Save password, auto connect, or always up, keep alive. So we'll just say create. Okay. So as we see, it has created all the VPN settings that are needed for us. Okay, it has created a policy from remote VPN to port 3. This is the remote VPN range. Route is dynamic in this case, so there will be no route, but when the VPN connects, automatically the FortiGate adds a dynamic route. So we'll see that also. So now the VPN wizard part is over on this particular FortiGate. So we can see the VPN tunnel, the VPN dial-up tunnel is created. It is inactive because the client has to initiate. So the client has to connect to the server. But before that, we will enable two-factor authentication for our client. So by default, whichever FortiGate you buy, even if it's a VM or hardware based, you get 2 mobile tokens free. Okay. You get 2 mobile tokens free of cost to test. So if you want to test it out, you can do it. So as we see, we have 2 tokens available. So what we'll do, we'll go to user 1, will say enable two-factor authentication type 40 token, and then we'll just assign a token out of the 2 which are enabled. So if your FortiGate is integrated with a SMTP server, or there is a SMS gateway, you can also send out the activation code for the 40 token over email or SMS. So as you can see, you can add additional information under the user. You can add the email address, and also you can add the phone number. Okay. So if you have integration with email and SMS, you can send out the authentication or the activation code needed on the 40 token on the client side. Okay. So you can send it out directly, or you can just go to the CLI and say config user 40 token, show full configuration, and you will see the activation code. The activation code is only visible from the CLI. So we have used this token, which is 69128. So here is the activation code. Now I'll just copy paste this. Okay. So this is the token, and I'll go back to my PC. Okay, this is my laptop, and I have my mobile screen, which is displayed here. Okay, so you can see that I have downloaded a FortiToken mobile app. So I will just go here, and you can scan a barcode or you can enter manually. So I will say enter manually. I want to enter the activation code manually. So this is the FortiClient app, as you can see. So nothing has been configured on the FortiToken mobile app as of now. So we'll say enter manually. We'll select what is the token type. It is Fortinet. We'll enter the username, any username. Okay. And we'll mention the code. So okay, this is the activation code. I will put it here. EE IP Q Y NH 3 K I V N 6. Okay, this is the activation token. So we'll okay, the token is active now. Okay, so I think it's a security reason, so I can see the token on my screen. Okay, but the token, the screen is not visible here due to security reasons. It is not mirror. Okay, so I will just minimize the token. So here you can see as soon as I click here, the token is visible, but it is there on my mobile screen. So it is fine. So it is just displaying 6 digits. Okay, so the whole point of showing this was the activation method. So it is pretty straightforward. The activation is pretty simple. You just enter the activation code of your token. That's it, finish. And then you will see a 6-digit code on the screen. So I will also type the code just to verify with you. So now we are done with the FortiToken assignment. We are done with the FortiGate configuration for the IPsec VPN. Now we'll go to the remote windows and we'll configure the FortiClient for IPsec VPN. So we'll say remote access. We'll say add a new connection. So IPsec, you select IPsec VPN. We'll say remote VPN, whatever name we want to put, we can put it. Remote gateway. So we know the remote gateway is 10.200.1.1, which is the IP address, and then our preset key Fortinet 123. And authentication will say XAuth prompt on login. All the default settings should be fine because we are using the template. So that's it. The VPN is configured. Now we'll try to access. So the user is user1. The password is p@connect. Okay, so here you can see when the username and password is correct, it shows or it asks to enter the 40 token code. So I will just, for your reference, I'm writing down the 6-digit code that is being displayed on my phone. So I'll just mention it here. So this code will expire in 1 minute. Okay, as you can see here. So as soon as the code was entered, the VPN got connected. So we'll disconnect. Okay, we'll say connect. Now the token has changed to 150314. Now it will again ask for a token. Okay, we'll enter some random numbers, incorrect numbers, and then we'll see what happens. It does not accept. So as soon as we enter the right token, the VPN gets established and connected. And now our main thing is to verify the connectivity between the remote windows and local windows. But before that, we'll see what IP address this particular client has received. Okay. This is the client's main IP, the LAN IP. And here you can see. Can you see this particular IP address 192.168.1.10? So this has been received from the VPN tunnel. Okay, this is the IP address that we set in the client range 192.168.1.10 to 1.100. Also open MSTSC 10.0.1.10. Connect. Okay, connected. Everything is reachable. Now our work is done. We'll just say disconnect. We'll disconnect the VPN and you can see the ping stopped. Okay, so this is it, guys. And one more, if we want to test it again. So just a couple of minutes more, then we'll go to the Q&A session. So the VPN is established and we can see the ping is up again. So from here, from the FortiGate, you can see the VPN monitor. You can see the IPsec VPN monitor and you can see the dial-up connection, which is up. Okay. You can also see the routing monitor. You can see there is a route added for this particular IP address. So this route is automatically added in case of dial-up VPN connections. So automatically it can say the network is 192.168.1.10. This is the IP address that was received by the client. Now, if we don't want this client to continue access, so we can just say bring down the VPN and we can terminate the session. So we can see what happens on the ping stopped because the VPN got terminated. Okay, so that's it, guys, for the demo. So you can see, you saw that how easy it is to configure IPsec, whether it is site-to-site or client-to-site. We also saw the FortiClient token, how to assign it on the mobile device. So any queries, let me know. Do we have any queries?
Josefa, I think there's a question on the Q&A chat. Can you look at it?
Yeah, I'm.
I have published a few
Uh,
questions there, Josefa. Please answer them.
okay, so Bindya, one of the queries is, can we get the recording of this session? So will you be able to pass
No,
on
can you
this
please
recording?
move to the published section, not the new section, the published.
Okay, publish section. Okay. So the first question is, can you let me know for dial-up VPN maximum how many user can connect at a time? Device is 50E. So, uh, we have data sheets available for each and every model. Okay. So you can just refer to the data sheet. So there is, I will just, uh, share the product matrix. So which will be, uh, you know, which will be more useful. So if you can see the screen, so here you can see for 50E, the question was for 50E. So here you can see maximum client to gateway IPsec tunnels, it is 250. And concurrent SSL VPN users, recommended users are 200. Okay, so here we can see that we have a limit on the number of users, but usually the limit is so huge that it does not, it is very difficult to reach that many users. So for example, if you have 250 users, you are not going to use 50E. Probably you are going to use a bigger device, a 100 or a 200 series. And if you see for 100 or 200 series, so IPsec VPN tunnels, it is 16,000 and 10,000 respectively, and concurrent SSL VPN connections 500. Okay, so 500 also is good enough. So SSL VPN users, uh, the configuration, or on the client side, there is not much configuration. So people prefer SSL VPN, but IPsec VPN gives you more throughput and the number of concurrent users are also more. So now we'll move on to the next question. So just refer to the data sheet. Okay. What is the difference between site to site and hub and spoke? There is no difference between site to site and hub and spoke. So hub and spoke is a topology of connection. So in hub and spoke, there is one central head office and there are multiple branch offices. Okay, so each branch office establishes a site to site connection with the headquarters. There is no site to site VPN connection, or there is no VPN between branch offices. So if they want to communicate from branch to branch, they have to go via the hub or the HQ. So hub and spoke is a topology. So hub and spoke is multiple site to site VPNs from branch to HQ. So next, moving on to the next question, how can I restrict access for remote client VPN from office laptops only and not from any home PCs? Also, can you please let us know how does Telemetry integrate with remote VPN connectivity and do the compliance checking? Okay, so if you want to use this particular feature, I would suggest you use SSL VPN in this case. So SSL VPN has a lot of host check mechanisms. It can check whether a FortiClient is running or not on that system. So it has host check antivirus. So not just FortiClient, it can check for any other third-party antivirus. Also, uh, for if you want to make sure that they only connect from the office laptops and home laptops, then in SSL VPN, you can also mention a MAC address whitelist. So you can just take any MAC address from that office laptop and put it in the whitelist. So only the laptop connecting FortiClient, using FortiClient to connect, has that particular MAC address, only he will be able to connect. Any other laptop tries, it will not authenticate, it will say host check failed. Even if the user puts all the right settings, enters the right credentials, still the VPN will not be established if the MAC address will not match. So if you want to make, if you want to do hardening of VPN or hardening of, the client, then better is to use SSL VPN because it has the MAC address whitelist and also the host check mechanism. Can we use DINE DNS as a remote gateway? Yes, we can use DINE DNS. So instead of IP address, when you're configuring client to site or FortiGate site to site, you can use dynamic DNS. So there is no hard and fast rule that you have to use a IP address. You can use dynamic DNS. Yes. Can we provide any IP range or same as local LAN range? So you can provide any IP range. You can use any IP range of your choice for VPN. There is no limitations in that. But usually when you're using VPNs, it is better, whether it's client to site or site to site, it is better that all sites have different IP address range. Okay, so avoid overlapping IP subnets. We'll take a couple of more questions. So when there are 3 client to site connections connected and active, can client 1 access client 3? You can make it accessible. Okay, you can make it accessible, but I would prefer again SSL VPN for that. Okay, IPsec, you can see the route is only available for that particular subnet. On which basis I should go with IPsec and not the SSL VPN? Because mostly for client to site, SSL is preferable. So as I earlier mentioned, for a client to site, you can use any VPN, whether IPsec or SSL. So it is totally your choice. In cases where you have to go with IPsec VPN is you are using a native client. Okay, or you are using any other VPN client apart from Forticlient, then SSL might have some compatibility issues because SSL VPN is vendor specific. IPsec VPN is an industry standard. So in cases where you're not able to use the native VPN or you're not able to use the Forticlient, you can go with SSL or IPsec. Sorry, SSL is of course preferable because SSL is slower. Okay, SSL is slower than IPsec. IPsec encryptography or IPsec encryption is much more faster. That is why IPsec gives more throughput. But why people prefer SSL VPN is because of its simplicity, because of its less user interference. So there is not much configuration required on the client side. So I think if Bindya can confirm, we are also having a session on SSL VPN configuration with 2-factor authentication. So if you want more information about SSL VPN, you can join that session also.
Yes, definitely. We will be sending all of them an invite with all the series of webinars we'll be hosting throughout the month. So once you'll have the invite, y'all can register for any session you'd like to attend.
Okay, so I think we can take a couple of more questions very quickly. So how to add a restriction to every user? This is I'm not sure what this clearly means. This question is not clear. What are troubleshooting commands for site-to-site VPN? So troubleshooting commands, there are a couple of commands. So one is diag sniffer packet. So you can use that command, diag sniffer packet, and there are some additional fields, the interface, the filters and everything. So diag sniffer packet is very useful to see the flow, whether the traffic is moving to the IPsec interface or not. If you have issues with connecting the IPsec VPN, then there is a command diag debug application IKE space -1. So diag debug, diag space debug space application space IKE space -1, and then enter and then enable the debug by diag debug enable. Okay, so that will give you each and every step that the FortiGate is carrying out to establish the VPN. So if there are any issues in between, it will tell you where exactly is the issue. What is the difference between site-to-site VPN and SD-WAN? This is a totally different topic and it will take a lot of time to explain. So the last question is, can we configure hub and spoke through dynamic DNS? Yes, we can configure hub and spoke through dynamic DNS. So the hub side can have dynamic DNS, the branch side can have static IP or vice versa, or both sides can have dynamic DNS is completely fine. Okay, we can establish a VPN even from FortiGate to FortiGate if one side does not have any public IP. Leave aside dynamic DNS. It is behind a router or a modem, and the WAN IP of FortiGate is a private IP connecting to the modem. So in that case also we can create a dial-up VPN from FortiGate to FortiGate. So there are a lot of options. There is a lot of flexibility. So if you're talking about any particular architecture, whether it will be achieved or not, the answer is yes. So most, you can say all of the topologies, all of the architecture can be achieved through SD-WAN and through VPNs. So I think we have taken a lot of questions. So how to restrict a user from accessing all the subnets? So this is very, very straightforward. So in the policy, you mentioned the whole local subnet, right? So instead of that, you can make the destination very, very restrictive. You can just say 10.0.1.10 and only accessible via HTTPS or RDP, or so you can restrict the access, to one single IP to one single port also. So it can go to that particular granular level. So you just have to edit the policy. So instead of using the whole subnet, you just use a specific IP and a specific port in the policy. That's it. So guys, I think we have addressed a lot of queries, and I hope now the IPsec VPN part in general is clear. So you can reach out to your customers and start selling VPN gateways as FortiGate. You can also start to advertise the Forti token, the two-factor authentication mechanism. You saw that how easily it can be integrated, how easily it works, hardly takes a minute to set up. Okay, so guys, thanks a lot for your time. So we will be hoping to see you in the other sessions as well. So we are carrying out a host of sessions, not just for Fortinet, for many other different products over over the next couple of weeks. So I would request to join for other sessions as well. So because this we have demos, live demos for various other products. So whatever products you are interested in, you can pitch in. So thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for your time. We will be reaching out to you via emails and everything. So if you have any queries, you can also reach me out on emails. Okay. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, Josefa. Thanks for all your time, and thank you everyone for joining, making time for us. And we hope we have delivered everything that you guys were looking for and answered all your questions. We will also be sending out a recording of the session to your email and along with the contact details so that y'all can write back to us in case you have any more queries. Also, we have numerous webinar sessions lined up throughout the month. Please look forward to invites from our end and y'all can register to any session that you want to attend. Thank you again, and I hope all of you have a great day ahead.